just have blown Liverpool right out of the title picture.
Hi everybody, good evening and welcome to Red and Blue Review. Welcome to another Getting to Know You, and this time I am delighted to be joined by my wingman and my mate, Gel Holyoke. Gel, good evening mate, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks mate. Yourself?
Oh, coping under Corona, I think they call it. Coping under Corona, but all good, mate. Not too bad. Listen, we're going to go crack straight on with your 10 questions, if you don't mind. I know that you've been diligently thinking through all your answers, and I thank you for dedicating so much time today on giving me your answers. So here we go. We're going to crack straight on. Not that I'm throwing you under any baths, okay? Gel Holyoke, why Crystal Palace?
I used to go to a school called Monks Hill, which is in Croydon, and all my mates, most of them supported Palace. A few of them went, sat in the Arthur, and that was the start of. I'd been a few times, but that was the start of me going regularly. That turned into home and away for a good few years.
What surprises me though is a couple of things. First of all, that you said you went regularly. Was that school or football? Because I didn't think you.
Well, I went to football more than school.
Why am I not surprised? So, what was your first ever game?
I can't remember. The first big game I remember was obviously the Burnley. I went with a guy, Mick Milkman. I must have been going. I can't remember. My brain is so. I remember Scunthorpe. But I'm just trying to think. I used to do, some of the older fans will know this, I used to sell Palace lottery tickets on the new estate in Fieldway, New Addington, where I used to live. And I'm sure I used to get either one or two tickets. So I used to go, but I mean, obviously, trying to remember that far back. I can't remember. Scunthorpe rings a bell for some reason. I really don't know, but.
Okay. So what would you, I mean, you've been supporting them a long time, same as I have. What is your most memorable moment as a Palace fan, would you say?
I literally have so many. I really do. I could pick 10 quite quickly, I think. But I think sitting next to my son Connor, he likes football, but he's not massively into it. But in Wales, watching us beat West Ham, surrounded by West Ham fans at the Millennium Stadium, and just sitting there, thankful firstly that I never got my head kicked in by the multitude of West Ham fans that were surrounding us, and secondly, I've got to share in a winning moment, and there are not many real big Palace winning moments. No. I've had a few, but he's not been there, but But yeah, just to sit there, not smugly, but just the satisfaction of just being with him. That's probably my most, I don't know, I'd say memorable moment, yeah.
Okay. Well, what upsets me a little bit is the fact that you didn't use going up and down the Thames with you, Nick, on the Chelsea away game, or the fastest growing Facebook review page on the internet with you, Nick. Notice I wasn't mentioning any of that, so we'll move on. Who is the greatest Crystal Palace player of your generation and why?
Again, just someone who, again, it could be. I'll tell you why I'm thrown between, and he hasn't been at our club very long. I'm thrown between three: Ian Wright, Davy Swindless, and Gary Cahill.
Wow.
Gary Cahill's by far the best defender I've ever seen at Palace, and I you know what, I player watch so all the time, mate. But for me, Ian Wright, he did. I'm picking three. I will pick one. Ian Wright did the unpredictable. He was quick. He could. Right, he had everything, which is why he ended up at Arsenal, and he could do anything and won almost everything. David Swindlers was just an action man. I remember being little and looking up and that picture, the famous picture of him where he's up in the air and he's smashing the ball in the net into the back, at the Holmesdale end when we beat Ipswich with Franz Tyson, Arnold Muren, Eric Gates, Paul Mariner. That team, we smashed him 4-1 that day, and we went top of the first division. I'm sure of it. That was the game. And for me, he was just the most amazing forward I'd ever seen. And Gary Cahill, for me, is just literally the most accomplished, calm. You know, I'm just a bit gutted that we got him towards the end of his career. But for me, he's still the best defender I've ever seen in a Palace shirt. But for me, I've got to say, if I've got to pick one out of 3 of them, oh my God, Ian Wright.
Good man, good man. And who, in your mind, is your favourite ever Crystal Palace manager?
Oh, see, the thing is, I don't have. This is a quite strange one for me, because I don't have an affiliation with a manager. Managers come and go. Players, we've had a lot of players that have stayed for a long time. We seem to get quite a few career players, but we get between 4 and 7 or 8 years out of some players. You know, you can cite Wilf and Macca and older players when you go right away back. Righty had a few of us, you know, and I don't really do massive affiliations with managers because I've always had it that managers just come and go. So favourite managers, you have to say that probably Steve Coppell for what he did. But he had a good side. But he was clued up enough to get that decent bunch of players going. So if I had to pick one, I would say probably Steve Coppell. But there is a caveat. Ian Holloway just made me laugh. Ian Holloway typifies what I like to see in a game. It's just where you wear your heart on your sleeve. And I think you could have paid that geezer 50 quid a week while he was managing us, and he would have behaved the same as if he was earning his proper money. So
Proper character.
Yeah, I got a huge amount of time for Ian Holloway, you know, and I was really sad that it didn't work out for him. But, you know, if everything what we read is the truth about the way that it ended at Palace, where he just said, you know, I'm just not good enough for this position. And if that is the truth, it takes a lot, you know, a lot of managers would just sit there and wait to get sacks. He put his hands up, and it did eventually stand us in good stead for the future of getting, you know, the future managers in behind him. So, but yeah, Steve Coppell with a caveat of
Ian Holloway. Yeah. Okay, so in your Palace watching career, okay, your most favourite top, your most favourite kit that we ever wore.
Favourite kit is people will just. I will be in such a rare minority for this, but the Bumblebee, for me, it's synonymous with an almost success. We've never had a kit like that since, right? And that was, although it was only worn once for the 1990 replay. For me, we've always had. You know, we're back at the sash. We had the sash when I first turned up at Palace. We were wearing a sash. We've had the stripes. We've had all kinds of stripes: the thin stripes, thick stripes, the massive stripes. You know, I've seen it. It's all much of a muchness. But to completely switch the colour to black and white with the Fly Virgin in red and the butter, and again, like I said, I'll be in a minority, but for me, it takes me back to one game 30 years ago. I can't remember last week sometimes, but I remember that. And had that Lee Mike not scored that goal, you know, we didn't deserve to lose that. We may have deserved to lose the replay, but you know, the first game. But anyway, I like that top. You know, I know that Ian's got one, and I know my mate Gary Ullman's got one, and a few people have got them. Without that crap, people wouldn't have them. You know, they'd have binned them. So I like that top. And if it ever come back as an away kit, I can't think of many clubs that have ever had black and yellow stripes. I can't think of it. But I like it. You know.
Each to their own. Question 7. And ladies and gentlemen watching this, I reckon this one here, this could take a while to get through. Joe, question 7. What are your thoughts on the current first team squad?
Do you know what? It won't even be. This won't be as long as what you think. Old, slow. Triers. That's what we've got. We try and play out from the back. We're not very good at it, but we're trying. Maybe overachieving. I could probably spend all evening on this, but yeah, I think I just settle for that.
Okay. So in my mind, you need to say what you just said, and I would actually do the same, but maybe balance it out by saying, not forgetting, this is our most successful squad of players in our history. Because how long have we been in the Premier League? And so yeah,
we pay more money every week than we ever paid in history. We pay more money in wages. It generally means you've got a better side.
Well, that's the era that we're in. That's a generational thing, isn't it?
Well, to a certain extent, but then we have got, some very, very good players mixed with some mediocre players, and my biggest bugbear is that we don't have enough youngsters in the side. We haven't blooded enough youngsters, which makes us a very old, slow. We are slow. We don't have any pace at the back, do we? That's been our undoing. We've only got guile. It's only that we have players now that have got experience that's gets us out of trouble. So it's a very difficult question. That's just to answer off. You could have given me this question last week. I probably would say the same.
Question 8, ladies and gentlemen, Joel Holyoake's won the Euro Millions. He's now £500 million richer. Joel, if you were now the chairman of Crystal Palace after your huge win, list 3 things that you would change about the club and why.
I wouldn't buy Palace for a start. I've got better things to waste my money on. What were 3 things that I would change about Palace? I would change. What would I change? I would. The ticket situation has been a bugbear, and for me and for many other people, especially the ones that it's affected, I would do a first come first serve thing, where certain parts of the grounds tickets were sold on the day. And that way, you need to get there early to assure of a seat. The other thing as well is if you want to, and when it comes to seats, if you want to sit in a seat, you don't want to stand up, then you can sit in the seat. What would I do? What else would I do? I'm not sure what I would do. If I were chairman, I'd tell you what it would be. I would be more honest, because the last thing that people want is someone in charge who's trying to pull the wool over your eyes all the time. Because the way things are nowadays with social media, you always get sussed out. I know you're always on a hiding to nothing. That's the thing. Doing what we do, this little thing that we do, our podcast and everything. I said to you a few years ago, you put your head above the parapet, you get shot at. It will always happen, and accept that. And I think the way Steve Parish stopped talking to the fans was a little bit, it was unusual in the first place. He didn't have to stop. He could have just been more selective, but carried on doing what he's doing. I just think a more open policy would be a little bit more easier for the more frustrated fan. Thirdly, you can never satisfy a football fan. Someone will go, yeah, I want a shiny bowl like Brighton. I don't want that. I like the little shithole we live in. You know, it's nice. It's horrible. It's not massively hospitable. But the thing is, it's ours. It's ours, and I've always said that it doesn't matter to me. Not a lot I would change about what I probably would do is upgrade the facilities. I would upgrade the physical look. When you go there, things would be painted cleaner. It would be clean. It wouldn't be so clinically grey. I just think that what we need to do. Obviously, there's stuff behind the scenes that you need to have certificates for and everything else. But aesthetically, I think I would try and improve on that. And that would be just going to the fans and saying, what can we do? We haven't got a huge budget, but what can we do? I would engage with the fans more, not with a fans group, so that 8 geezers that are, that are 75 years old or whatever, or a 16-year-old who has no experience about anything. I would just have it open to the fans. You'd have to register, so you couldn't have a lot of Brighton fans saying, knock it down or whatever. But yeah, I just want more fan interaction. And I think what you would do then is you go to the ground and they go, bloody hell, I hate it. I go, well, you lot chose it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Once you start, you can apportion blame. If the fans pick it, then it's the fans. You choose it and you lump it. But just more honesty and more openness and more honesty in football would because like I say, eventually when you get found out to be a charlatan or a liar or you've been hiding and this, that, and the other, you have to skullduggery. Then people go after you, and then it's just not a fun place for anybody, for the fans, for the players. We've suffered at least a year of when things were going badly, of a toxic atmosphere within the club, on the pitch, everything. And it's not a nice play, so just more openness, I think, would be nice. So.
Right, a couple more before I let you go. Okay, question 9. If you could go back in time and change the outcome of any Palace match, what match would it be and why?
2016 Cup final. Because I truly believe that Glastonbury beat us. I truly believe that. He could sit in front of me and swear on another's life that he never cheated us, and I would literally call him a liar. I just feel that the picture taken of him hugging Fergie, whatever it was, an hour before the kick-off in the back of the tunnel, the fact that he goes on social media now and people go to him, how many Palace games did you get? 13. And he's all, fuck him and that game. I think we were robbed that game. I think had it been the other way round and United were attacking down the left-hand side, that whistle wouldn't have gone, wouldn't have even got out of his hand near he would have still been in his pocket. I'm telling you now. I truly believe that we were cheated that day. I wasn't annoyed because I was sitting back, sitting next to my Man United supporting son-in-law, and my son next to me as well. And I just felt that my club as a whole, my players, my mates, my family, me, everyone to do with Crystal Palace Football Club. I think we were absolutely cheated that day. I thought we were the better side. I thought we everything about Dave, better fans, louder fans, more passionate fans, more. But the players were honest. Everything about that. And the one thing that wasn't honest about that game, in my personal opinion, is Mark Clattenburg. That's the game I would change, undoubtedly.
And it's a great answer. But what you don't know, ladies and gentlemen watching this, they don't know is Joe and I haven't pre-spoken about these set of questions, okay? And what Joe doesn't know, okay, and I'm going to tell him right now, is verbatim. That's what I said. But Ian asked me the same question.
Oh, really?
Clattenburg, you cheating bastard.
Yes.
Question 10 before I let you go. If you didn't support Crystal Palace, who would you support? Or if Crystal Palace went into liquidation, who would you support?
Well, I wouldn't support them because as I've got older, I've my opinion of the fans have changed. But I'll tell you, let me just, I need a backstory. So the very first game of football I was ever allowed to watch was the 1974 FA Cup final, Newcastle versus Liverpool. And I said to my dad, whoever wins this game, I will support. And Liverpool, I think they won 3-0, I think, 1974. So I always used to follow Liverpool. And all the people at school knew I liked Liverpool, and I never hid that fact. In fact, I've never hid that fact to this day, that when I was a kid, I supported Liverpool. I only ever had one of their shirts. But you know, that they would have been, but they were what you get now with kids. And you go to a kid who just support now, and they go Man City. They live in South London, just support Man City. You go, why? It's because Aguero, and you know, you just have to, and that's the same. You know, the 1974 side, and then going through into the 80s with John Barnsley and Rush, John Aldridge, Ray Clements. You know, you can Kenny Dalglish, Kevin Keegan. They are such, for a player. They've had some magnificent players. For me, they played football the right way. They won the European Cup 3 times at the time. You know, 25 now. But yeah, so I wouldn't support Liverpool. I've been to Champions League games, and you know, one of my mates works for the Liverpool Football Club. So I wouldn't support them, but I keep at a distance. And this is the strangest thing, right? And we've spoken about this many times, that it wouldn't bother me if this season was vetoed and they didn't win the league for the first time in 29 years. It wouldn't bother me. I'd be upset for the players. I will not be upset for their fans. Their fans are arties, and I don't care. So yeah, to make a long story short, I would follow Liverpool from afar. But if Palace went out of business, I would probably go back to watching Cray Wanderers.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people that I've spoken to doing these little interviews have said a non-league team. And again, we didn't pre-test this. I said earlier on Sutton United, and for the same reason, for the exact same reason. I probably would go. I'll tell you where I'd be. I'd be at the Oval watching cricket. I wouldn't be watching. I probably would. Gerald Holyoke, as always, super entertaining, and you know, it just goes to show your knowledge, your depth of knowledge is brilliant. Even though we know that obviously you've had 2 weeks to rehearse these answers, and that quite frankly shows. Okay,
2 weeks. I've had about 10 minutes.
It's what makes you entertaining, and what makes you the person that you are. That's why we love you, and we love you, everything about you. Joe Holyoke, all the best, mate. You take care. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate.